So as I was working on trying to decide what I think is maybe the best way, or at least a better way to do the Caesar cipher, I realized that doing actually the mirror writing, which we had mentioned in the intro to cryptography, is actually pretty easy to do, and I realized it's sort of by accident. I mean, I figured it wasn't too hard, because it's pretty easy to do for us on paper as well, but it was easier than I expected. So, if we're looking at like doing the Caesar cipher, and let's say we have our original string here, and it could be something like cats are awesome. When we're doing the Caesar shift, we take a letter, we add the shift value, and that becomes the encrypted letter, right? So for this, let's say we're only doing a shift of 1, then this would be D, and B, U, T, B, S, F, and B, X, F, T, P, N, F, right? And that's what we would get. And each time we are shifting the value for the letter, we are then adding that letter on the end of this string that we've been creating along the way, right? However, if we're doing mirror writing, that's not what we're doing anymore. Instead, we're just taking the letter, whichever letter we're currently on, and we just move it to the front of the string, right? So essentially, if we take back our original string that we used a moment ago, first letter is C, so we can put a C. Next letter is an A. We're not going to write it here because it's mirror writing. We're going to put it on the other side, right? So A. Next letter is a T, so once again we're moving over, putting it at the front of the string. Then an S, and so each time we're just putting it in front of what we already have. And that gives us this mirror writing transpositional cipher. Now, of course, it's a terrible cipher. People can just look at it and they're going to know what it is. But knowing how to actually create it can be beneficial. It gets you just a little bit more familiar with programming in general and helps you wrap your head around some of the processes and whatnot, right? So basically, that's one way to look at it, right? Now, when we turn it into programming, how do we tell it to put this at the front of the string? There's probably multiple ways, but the one that first popped up to me is instead of telling it to move it at the start, we're just going to tell it to take that current letter and then just add whatever the current rest of string is. And as long as we keep doing this and we loop it for each and every letter in the string, or I guess up here, right, then we should get mirror writing. So let's try it. I'm just going to create a new project, and we'll call it, yes, we'll call it mirror writing, and we'll create, and right now we have nothing inside of here, so we'll right click this, and new, and a Python file, and we can call it mirror writing. There we go. So as usual, I'm going to start with some comments. So creating a mirror writing program, a simple type of transpositional, oops, there we go, and a byline. So I'm going to need a couple of things for this. We'll first say that we're going to create the variables. That will be the first little chunk of the program. And we'll use a for loop for the bulk of the actual processing, I guess, if you want to call it that. Print the results. So I could start up here, but I think I'm going to actually work backwards. So obviously we want it to print, and let's maybe call it encrypted message. Actually, I don't want to type all that out. MSG. So that will be our variable for the encrypted message. And so let's go ahead and define that up here. And right now we're just going to have it in an empty string. So this opens it, this closes it. It is a string, it's just empty. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to use a loop. So we're going to use a for loop. So we start with for. And what we want it to do is we want it to do it for each and every character inside of our message that it's going to encrypt. So we're going to say for character. And it's going to be in message. Now message is not like a predefined object. This is actually a variable that we have not yet created, and that's actually why you see this little message, this little pop-up beneath it saying that it's unresolved reference. It can't find it. So that means that we need to define message. And so we'll make this equal to cats are awesome, since that's what we're using today. And there we go. Now all that we need to do actually is just make the encrypted message equal the character plus the encrypted message. So what this is going to do is for each character in this message, it's going to reset what encrypted message is as that character plus whatever's already in the encrypted message. So for the very first time, nothing's really going to happen. It's just going to throw the letter C in there, right? Because that's the character, it's the current character. So then in that situation, actually, you know what? Instead of saying it all, let's actually just show it. So I'm going to go ahead and actually tell it to print, and in here, we'll tell it to actually print that variable so you can see it happen. Let's do a wait command as well. So that means we need to import a library, so let's import time, which we've used before, not in a while, but we've used it before. And then we'll use the time.sleep, and then in seconds, we'll go ahead and do 5. I think that should be enough time. Maybe a little bit much at the start and at the end, but at least for right now. So the very first thing, we see it took the C, so it takes the C. There's nothing in the encrypted message, so it becomes C plus nothing. Then it took the A, so here's the A. It then made encrypted message equal to A plus the C that was already there. Then it took the T. Encrypted message became T plus what was already in there, which was the A and the C. Same with the S, and then the space, and etc. So it's just going to keep taking whatever the current letter is and adding it in front of what was in encrypted message, and then that becomes the new encrypted message. So it's just this looping pattern going through. And now 5 seconds seems a little bit long to wait for each letter. Alright, I'm tired of waiting. You can see it's working. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that part there because we don't need the wait. And let's actually print a little bit more. Let's print out what the original message was. So your original message was, and then we can do the plus and message, and then we can say the encrypted message is, and plus that. And I'm going to do a new line here and a new line there. Let's do maybe a time sleep just to give a little delay from when it shows one message to the next, so maybe 4. And maybe we actually want this to be user input. And just to make sure this actually is a string in case they put in a number, let's go ahead and wrap string around it. And now if we run this, there we go, it worked. Now that weight might be a little long, but you can play with it and get it to work the way that you want. Maybe I should have had a little bit of weight between this printout and then pushing enter, but once again, you can play with it how you'd like.